Hey everybody, how's it going? Woo, there we go, there we go. Cool, well, welcome to the Nobility panel. For those of you who don't know, Nobility is a sci-fi dramatic comedy web series. The best way to think about it would be The Office meets Sci-fi. So that sounds good to you, great. Not only that, is what we're trying to do with Nobility is communicate directly with the fans so that fans can step up and take ownership of the sci-fi genre. And what we mean by that is, over the past decade, we've seen almost all of our favorite series be canceled. We're not seeing the kind of quality, the kind of sci-fi, or the same quality of sci-fi that we used to see even just 10 years ago. And it's being replaced by more and more by reality TV and wrestling and even the sci-fi that is out there. None of it's even space-based. It's all terrestrial, post-apocalyptic, so on and so forth. Now I could go on about this for probably 10 hours. So I think the best way to put it would be go ahead and show you our Kickstarter video. That's right, I said Kickstarter video. We are in the middle of a Kickstarter right now. So feel free to go ahead and check that out. Go to nobilityseries.com. But here we go. About the CAS Nobility, humanity's most powerful starship, with a crew that's, well, anything but normal. Instead of the best, we have an apathetic, pleasure-seeking captain, an engineer who's so lazy and can't even speak, a condescending first officer, and an effeminate navigator who thinks himself a cowboy. But Nobility is more than an awesome sci-fi drama. Every year, we see series, stories that affect us on a personal level, tossed aside by people more interested in reality TV than the stories that we care about. People who think that we, the fans, are not enough to keep a story going.
Who's this guy?
Oh, good question. My name is EJ Delapena. Believe it or not, I have over 20 years of entertainment industry experience.
What the frack?
Ever since I was a kid, I've been working as a professional actor on just about every kind of set, from multi-million-dollar films with A-list celebrities to sitcoms and even low-budget comedies. Yeah, those. But through all this, my first love has always been sci-fi.
We've located the source of the energy field on the planet.
Hey, put that away.
Dispatched a landing party.
So anyway, it was a no-brainer that one day I'd work in science fiction. And I'm now president and founder of Cowboy Air, a science fiction production company dedicated to enabling the people who matter, the fans, to taking ownership of the sci-fi genre. And Nobility is the first step on that road. But to make Nobility reality, we're going to need some help. We need someone who, like me, has decades of industry experience. We're going to need someone who can make a sci-fi film that looks like millions on a microscopic budget. We're going to need somebody British. Neil! Hey Neil!
Why?
Want to make a web series?
Okay. So you're gonna write this, I'm gonna direct it. Who's gonna be in it?
Okay, I could take a minor role, but what about Claudia Christian from Babylon 5?
I'm death incarnate. And the last living thing that you are ever going to see.
EJ, she's in character.
Oh, shiny.
Tobias Vicky doing my television screen.
He's heading up our crack team of visual effects artists. He lives in Germany, so we communicate with him via Skype. Hey, Tobias!
You know, some people are going to ask, does it really make sense to hire somebody from another country? So we've got ourselves an amazing effects team, a great story, an awesome director, and the start of a stellar cast.
What more do we need?
Are you kidding me?
Right! Starship Nobility needs you. It was fans organizing Star Trek conventions that led to the creation of 12 films and 5 series, making Star Trek the largest franchise ever known. It was fans taking ownership of the genre they loved and inventing new forms of visual effects that made Star Wars even possible. And these are just a couple examples of fans getting involved and becoming a part of sci-fi history. But unlike the shows of the past, Nobility is asking to be a part of the story from the beginning. Just to scratch the surface, we're going to be in constant communication via social media. We're going to have a regular podcast detailing every aspect of production, and we're even going to have a contest where each of our fans will get the opportunity to win a speaking role in the series and get to work with our awesome cast. But beyond this, we're asking you, the ones who matter, to greenlight this project. It's up to you to breathe life into Nobility. You've already taken the first step by watching this video. If you like what you've seen so far, tweet about us, like and share our page on Facebook, and pledge to our cause. We need $45,000 to make this dream a reality. But every additional dollar you pledge means that we can have more sci-fi battles, better sets, and even more sci-fi legends. The more you pledge, the better Nobility will be. Will you take ownership of sci-fi? Will you stand and say no to those who said that we, the fans, are not enough? Will you bring Nobility to life? Just a second. Seriously? Guys, come on. That is really me.
That really was
That
you.
was really me, 4 years old. Yes. Yay, Star Trek The Adventure 1992, yes.
What was that?
Star Trek, there was a thing at Universal that you could do. They take you out of the audience and play up on screen.
And you had your little.
Me and my dad got up, and oh no, they give it to you.
Oh, they give you
Yeah,
that.
and then you go back and dress your own. Anyway, I do believe we're
That
getting
explains
sidetracked.
a lot.
Oh, you have no idea. Oh, I do. How's it going, guys? Well, I hope you enjoyed that one. So from there, I believe that pretty much properly introduced me, in case, you know, yeah. But here's our somebody British, Neil Johnson. He's done about, what is it, up to 10 now? 10 films?
10 feature films, 500 plus music videos, about 1,000 documentaries, 5,000 plus television commercials, and about 20 plus TV shows or TV specials and comedy shows and everything else. Because it's my full-time job as a director, that's all I do. So, and I was directing at the age of 21. It's my first paid gig as a director. And I'm now 46 this year, so that's how I've done so much. I'm old.
And obviously from all that, you know, he doesn't know what he's doing at all. Joke.
I'm still learning.
Hey, there we go. That's his spirit. And he's also an expert in digital, or a pioneer in digital filmmaking and micro budget. So, Neil Johnson, everybody. And then next we have Charles Henry Avalanche. If I'm pronouncing that right. Avalanche. There we go.
Doing a great job, EJ, as usual.
He's our composer. He composed the music for the video you just saw, the main theme for Nobility. And Charles, why don't you say a little bit about your what you've done?
I'm mostly known, just arrived in Los Angeles actually. I'm mostly known in Washington State, in Seattle, for my work as a film composer over there. I scored for 2 years consecutive the primetime TV special for the Hallmark Channel called Jingle All the Way, which is kind of like a big deal for Christmas.
Not the same Jingle All the Way I was
No,
on.
not the one with the show, no. This one is about a little husky pup, and that I was hired to develop basically a musical theme for what's going to be their music theme for years to come for that little storybook. It's basically a little plush toy that interacts with the book and the DVD. And also I am known in Seattle for being the one who created the Seattle International Film Festival Orchestra, the 60-piece orchestra that performed live in front of 4,000 people every year at the opening night of the festival.
He's 12 years old.
That makes me 6, everybody.
I'm actually 40.
No. You had me there for a second. I was like, what? And then the one I'm sure you all came to see, the lovely Claudia Christian. And
Hi.
hi.
All right, I'm a year older than Neil, okay? That's what you wanted to know.
We're actually brother and sister.
Yes. Tell that there.
And the accent, of course,
Yes.
is a dead giveaway.
That's right. I'm celebrating my 30th year in the acting profession in television and film this year. Got my first series in 1983. Prior to that, did all theater. Been living in Los Angeles and London for the past decade, and mostly now in Los Angeles. Coming out with a sci-fi military book next year called Wolf's Empire, which will be released by Tor. Of course, I have my memoir out, Babylon Confidential, which has been doing really well. So that's about it for me, I think. What else do you want to know?
I think you're one
I've got to say, I've been stalking Claudia Christian since maybe the year
You're very
2000.
subtle.
Since the year 2000, and I was actually a very big fan of her work, and I've been trying to find something to do with her. We kept crossing paths many times, and I recognized her talent in Babylon 5 as real acting, and it was really remarkable. When you did, there's some scene you did when you broke character and did some, you recited some weird sex theme or something.
Oh.
She pulled it off so well. Yeah, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. From that moment, I became a really, really big fan of Claudia, and I've just been trying to find a project that I can do with her since then. So,
It is usually the sex scenes that make for good fans. But hey! Thank you, Neil. I appreciate that. Boom shakalaka, yes. And we have known each other for quite a while, so it's nice to be able to do
cross circles in strange places.
Yes, we have. You've been to one of my houses.
4 houses ago.
And she still has them all.
And I'm not playing the effeminate cowboy in Nobility. I just want to clarify that because a lot of people think I'm playing the effeminate cowboy, but that's not going to happen.
Darn.
Unless you want me to.
That would be an interesting.
That's the first role I was attracted to, but of course. You have to give me the bad girl role.
Yes, you play the leader of the Bedfans, the Eugenes.
Oh, to be typecast again.
Well, you'll have some.
I'm just kidding. Heroes, bad girls, comedy, drama, it's all good.
So the first question I want to just go through real quick.
Can you put the mic closer to your mouth, please?
What's that?
That's better.
Well, what?
Now they can hear you.
Oh, they don't want to hear me. What?
Yes, you do.
You do?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, here, I was getting nervous and all. No, the first question I was just going to go through and talk to you guys, just what first attracted you guys to Nobility? Why did you guys sign on? And what got you excited about the project to make that commitment?
I'm a big sci-fi nut because of my upbringing and because of it's what I do anyway. And I'm a big Red Dwarf fan. And I really wanted to do a comedy sci-fi thing, being British as well. It's comedies in our blood. And I did a film called Humanity's End a few years ago that was supposed to be a comedy, but I was told to not make it a comedy because my distributors felt otherwise. There's still a little bit of comedy in that, and I felt very sad that I could never get to make a proper comedy sci-fi. And then EJ was actually working with me on Starship 1 and 2, two films we just shot recently in Los Angeles, which are kind of, fairly big sci-fi films. And we're also involved with a film series called Space Command as well, which we hope will see the light of day eventually. And we decided, EJ told me about Nobility, and I thought, this is great, this is so exciting. And it's something that we can get made quickly and get out the door and made effectively. But the thing I really liked about it was the character development and everything else, because I've done so many effects films, and that's nice, but I care about actors and I care about characters, and at the end of the day, people want to see people interacting with people, and that's why Nobility is, for me, something that's just going to make me be happy watching it. I'll be proud to watch something like that. So, I'm a fan just like everybody else, and that's it.
Well, I met EJ in November at the American Film Market here in Santa Monica. I'm still trying to figure out the map in Los Angeles. He approached me with some of the projects he had, and when I was in France, I grew up with sci-fi. I was a big sci-fi buff, and Star Wars, Star Trek, and all those things is basically what got me into this crazy industry. And so making music, like grand space opera music is what I've always dreamt of working on. And so when EJ proposed me Nobility, I just saw right there, because the first requirement there was we really want your classic sci-fi theme for that. And I was like, okay, well, that's exactly what I want to do. So what I love about Nobility is the world in which the story is bringing us in, which has been treated in some sci-fi plots, TV series, but not as much as Nobility is going to do, where it takes place in a world where mankind has left Earth and started conquering around the universe, but after generations, people living on these planets were affected by its atmosphere and stuff like that, and started to become their own ethnicity of their own. And so that creates for a world basically populated of Earthlings that no longer are. And so the story of Nobility takes place after centuries of problems, people who revolted, who wanted to separate, people who didn't want to have anything to do with Earth anymore, and finally going back together. And Nobility takes place in that basically atmosphere where the general world has been at peace, but it's very fragile. And so we don't really know where it's going to go, and there's definitely some evil plot going on that wants to break up that peace. And so, music-wise, it allows for such a variety of themes that we're going to be able to do to represent each ethnicities and people that we're going to meet throughout the universe of Nobility. And also, the comic aspect of Nobility allows for some fun, but meanwhile, it will have some very serious moments that allows for some very emotional music. And so basically everything that I love to do as a composer is there. That's why I'm more.
Nice.
It's a dream project for you.
It is.
For both of us. No, I think you hit on a couple of really good points there on how there are just so many different cultures. It is a very, or at least what I'm trying to do is create this very, very rich universe that has a little bit of something for everyone. And then also, one thing to hit on, and I think not everybody quite understands that the reason we call it a dramedy or dramatic comedy is because while it does have this very, very strong comedy streak, and we're not afraid to go a little over the top in moments, it's not afraid of the drama. It doesn't shy away from it, and we have those very, very heartfelt moments. And in fact, the characters, while they may be very, very zany, each of them has a reason for being who and what they are. Oftentimes a tragic reason, so that is there. But yeah, buddy.
Oh.
I haven't done any science fiction really in about 18 years. So I think that as supportive and wonderful as my fan base has been, I think they'd like me being something science fiction and not another cop show or thing like that. So I mean, I did a sci-fi comedy in the UK, but not many people saw it, and that was about 10 years ago, 8 years ago. But I haven't really done anything else, so I thought this was a nice opportunity to pay homage to them, and to also, since you said that they will have input in the show, the fans will actually be able to have input. I thought that was kind of a nice gesture towards the loyalty of the fan base, and I think that sci-fi fans are just the most unbelievably loyal, supportive group of people I've ever met in my life. So anything that they would enjoy watching and they could be part of would be something that I would be interested in being involved in. Nice. Oh, and the case of Reese's peanut butter cups that you dropped off helped a lot too.
I knew it. I knew it.
And what Neil promised me, that also helped.
Neil, is there something you need to tell me?
It was a back row. That's an inside joke. We can't reveal why.
Yeah. And the fact that I died in the first 5 minutes, I thought was pretty fitting. No, I just
No, you did not die in the first 5 minutes.
I guess people have to understand my sense of humor. I hope everyone knows I'm not serious.
What she really means is in the first 5 minutes on set, we're going to have a sniper take her out.
Yes.
Yeah, just, that's what she's going. Oh boy. Well, cool. Well, the next question I have is, what first got you into the entertainment industry? I mean, for me, I was a little kid. My mom got me into it, and it just so happened to, maybe partially because I grew up in it. In fact, Connie, you got maybe 7 or 8 years on me?
What do you mean?
Career-wise, actually.
Oh,
I started that young.
Yeah. You started younger than me in film.
Yeah. But so for me, it was something I grew up in, and it just so happened to be something I wanted to continue doing. And luckily, I didn't have parents who were like forcing me to do it or anything. But I mean, for you guys, it was something you had to come to on your own. It wasn't like you had wrong, but you didn't have your parents making that initial step for you. So, what got you guys into it?
I grew up with 3 older brothers, and I never got a word in edgewise. And one day I did a school play, and I realized that everybody was quiet in the room, and they were all listening to me. And it was the first little shred of power I think I ever had in my life. So I became completely addicted to being on stage and owning that, and making adults cry and laugh and moving them. And I was like, wow, this is great. So that's why I became an actress. It was probably because I was a very quiet. When you have 3 older brothers, you literally you're watching out for your life. You just don't want to be beat up, so you just hide in the corner and play piano very quietly until they hit you. And so this was the only time I could come out of my shell, and I found that I really enjoyed it, and I loved. It was such a funny thing, because when you're that young and that naive, you're really, really stupid. So when my father got transferred to California when I was 14 years old, he was with Shell Oil Company and he got transferred. And I was honestly absolutely convinced it was so that I could become a TV star. I thought, well, this makes total sense. My father's being transferred so I can be in Hollywood. Of course, we moved to Orange County, so that didn't help. But no, still, that's how naive I was. And by the time I got a learner's permit, I just drove up to LA and naively walked up to Heather Locklear's manager and said, "You need a brunette version of her, okay?" And I'm like, nothing like her. She was like, okay, and signed me for 3 years, and that was it. But it's because I was oblivious to rejection. Of course, now I'm completely used to rejection after 30 years in the industry. You have to have a very, very thick skin to become an actress, or be very, very dumb. One of the two. It's a really, really rough profession. I wouldn't take anything back, and I've had a wonderful ride, but let me tell you, it was hard. But in the beginning, just that naivete, that that complete just boldness got me where I wanted to go, and within a year I was on a series. So I thank God every day that I had it easy, because nowadays it's a completely different game with the advent of reality series and parents bringing their kids into Los Angeles for pilot season. I mean, this is something that never happened when I first started out. You didn't have buckets and boatloads of people coming in for pilot season and staying in apartments, and the mother and father taking off work or quitting their jobs and relying on the child to earn money to support the family. This was unheard of. I mean, you know, there was like 20 girls my age, and we all competed for the same roles. Nowadays I go in, I don't recognize one person, not one person. There's so many more thousands of people in the union that it's crazy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, growing up, for me, it was always, you'd see the same folks
Yeah,
over and
the
over
same
again,
people,
and,
yeah.
and then you become friends. And
Yeah, it's always a blonde, a redhead, and you know, and now I'm losing jobs to men. You know, no, seriously, they always have, you know, you know, it's bizarre. You go for the role of a lawyer, and there's, you know, 5 different ethnic groups and 2 sexes, and you're like, how do I have a chance? How am I going to book this when they don't even know if they want a man or a woman? It's amazing, and usually about a 20-year age gap too. So it's really, really bizarre. This is all the major TV shows you go for, and then they put you on hold, and then they offer it to a bigger name. I mean, it's
They tear it down.
yeah, they
And
tear
they'll
it down.
often, you know, tear down the offers, you know, bit by bit. I mean, I've done it too, so I
Oh, yeah, nowadays, like, yeah, this won't make any sense to any of you guys, but they'll say, technically, you can say it's a guest lead, but we're going to pay you for a co-star. So in other words, they cut your paycheck in half, but give you the ego of saying, you know, you can put on your resume a guest lead, but we're not going to pay you for a guest lead. It's changed a lot, so I'm actually quite thankful that I was in there for the 80s and 90s for the majority of my career, because it's a whole different game now, and I don't envy an 18-year-old trying to start nowadays.
Well, yeah, I know for me, I hit, you know, I started off in the 90s, and then I hit the teenage years where you can hire somebody 18 to play a role, and then I'll
Yeah.
deal with a studio teacher. And, you know, but yeah, and then just from there, it just, you know, the industry changed, and now it's all about social media, and, you know, how they would Twitter on, you know, and everybody else. But why don't we go ahead and move on? What about you guys? What about you guys?
I
in
didn't
the
mean to
industry?
depress anybody.
No!
I'm still happy. I'll just give you the quick
Thanks, you,
overview.
Prozac.
Let me see now.
Enroll your kids in acting school.
Exactly. My daughter's 19. She wants to be a TV presenter, so
She wants to be what?
a TV presenter, television presenter.
TV presenter.
She's very good looking. This is a curse. I understand. Her father comes from the same world, so I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand this problem. I was 2, and I saw Neil Armstrong walking on the moon, and my father took me outside and said, "That guy on the moon is on TV." I couldn't understand how the same person on television could be on the moon at the same time. It was so confusing to me. And so after that, I realized I had to make science fiction films. And literally, I was 2 years old. I kid you not. And obviously, I worked my ass off making science fiction thingies and everything else. And I started doing music videos and did lots of famous bands. One of the early bands I did was U2, because I was sort of talented a little bit, which is very hard working. And I kept moving up the ladder, doing television commercials and TV shows every day, night, not sleeping, having no relationships or anything else, just working. And then I did my first feature at the age of 30. It was, it's 28. I believe it's the world's first digital film. I'm not sure about that. That's why I'm called a pioneer, which I don't know what that means, but I didn't write the Wikipedia entry, just people write this about me. Made the first digital film, or one of the first digital films. It was a proper science fiction horror type thing. And I was told, this was in Australia by the way, I was told I was a fool. I was an idiot, I was a hack. Still told that, by the way. But I was told I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And I dreamed of a day when everything would be on computers. And this is back when 35mm was still cool, and 16mm or whatever else, before Clerks and all these other movies. So I did that. It got released internationally. It didn't do very well because we got the wrong distributor, and they didn't pay us, of course. And I was kind of a bit downtrodden. I went to the Screen Producers Association meeting in Australia, and everybody was really, I was the joke of the convention. People were talking shit about me really badly. And George Lucas was there scouting for doing episode 1 or 2, I forget, to shoot in Australia. And he and Rick McCallum went up on stage and they started speaking about Neil Johnson being a pioneer. And that was a big shock for me, because everybody in the room had been, bad now to me, and suddenly George Lucas is claiming me as a genius, which was bizarre, because I was really pushing this whole all digital thing. And afterwards I get to meet George Lucas, a little short guy, which was really amazing. I realized this is how the power of the brain, it's all in here. That was very inspiring for me, and I moved on, kept doing science fiction films, moved to the US, started doing music videos for big famous bands, going on tour with big famous heavy metal bands. And my first love is only doing science fiction films with good characters. I'm happiest when I'm working with actors and we're working on some sort of drama thing and making something happen and bringing some emotion out. So that's what I really care about. I've done a lot of effects films and everything else. But that's really for me the climbing up the ladder. And I haven't had a big hit film yet, but that's a matter of time, because I'm one of those people who doesn't give up, and that's how I work. It's just a matter of keep making films, keep making films, keep making films, and eventually somebody's going to hit. And I've worked with so many, famous people like Christopher Lee from, Lord of the Rings, and what else was he in? Star Wars Episode 2. Who else? Claudia Wells, Virginia Hay from Road Warrior. I did something with Mel Gibson once. I'm not trying to name drop. It's like celebrities coming out of my ass. all I care about is making really good drama and good product, and that's really my concern. Is just trying to make something good. And as I said, Claudia Christian has been somebody I've personally wanted to work with because I respect her.
Maybe that's just going to put you over that edge.
Somebody's got to help.
You know what I mean?
Somebody's got to put me over the edge somewhere.
Your ass will
You
finally
never know.
explode
Maybe this
with all
little
the celebrities.
combo.
Yeah. I can see something's going to happen somewhere sooner or later. We're hoping this is going to hit, and we're just going to work our asses off to make something that's really good quality. And I'm just in love with what I do. As I said, all I do when I'm working is listen to Star Wars podcasts. Just did a big major music video for a pop star called Emmy, which is basically a complete Star Wars ripoff, and that's going to hit really big. So we're just working, trying to do something and making a living and do really good work, because that's all that matters now. We've proven ourselves. We want to make something that we can be proud of, and something that will live for 100 or 200 years.
Corbin.
Well, I was about 9 years old when I started thinking of that crazy idea of being in the Hollywood industry. And but I come from a military family, so being an artist was not really considered being a real job. So I had to fight that for the next 9 years to come after that. I would save every pennies I had, every little money I could keep to buy some crazy equipment that looked like sci-fi for most people. Nobody would understand why I would do that, never go out. I would have really be focused to it. And some of that equipment I bought, by the way, I still use nowadays. So it was very advanced professional tools that nobody really understood why I would do that. And so I decided to go for a film school in France, and decided instead of learning music, I decided to learn sound engineering. I never had any music lessons. So I do not know how to read or write music, and yet I can write music for a 200-piece orchestra. I can hear in my head how it's supposed to sound, and so I was just kind of waiting also for technology to come up one day to allow me to express myself, because synthesizers were becoming more and more elaborate, but the sounds that were coming out of it was just not quite realistic enough to really express all those orchestral ideas, that all that emotion that only a symphonic orchestra can give. And one day the technology was possible. And so I rendered my first music with that, and everybody was blown away. I had people in the classical world asking me which orchestra performed. And I would be like, my joke with that is they came in a box, you put a little bit of hot water. And so basically from there, very quickly after I graduated college, my mentor was Gilles Tiner. He was at the time the president of the French Film Composer Association in France. And he looked at me and he's like, you're never gonna find any gigs here in France. They just don't have the budget for that. They don't even have the desire to go for that. You have to somehow make it to the US. So here I was barely speaking English, being really bad, and my English teacher telling me that I'll never go anywhere in life without English. and me replying to her, I'll learn over there. And that's exactly what I did. I flew, everybody thought I was crazy. I had an opportunity to fly to the US. I quit my job in Paris. And I arrived here. And everything... That was about 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah, can't believe it, but yes, 8 years ago. And so I arrived completely randomly in Seattle, a cousin that I'd never met before, a cousin of my mom, who somehow, by the fact, the family really thought I was crazy. Heard that I had some refundable tickets to go to the US. She said, look, if you want to give the US a try, I live in Seattle and I'll welcome you for 3 months and see if you like it. And so it was kind of a revelation to me. Arriving in the US, funnily enough, I ended up meeting a lot of firefighters people and actually Navy people. And they felt like sharing a lot of their stories, and some of these people were very closely connected with the 9/11 events and stuff like that. And it actually brought a strong desire in me to, I was really overwhelmed by that feeling, and so I created my first symphony that is called The Age of Heroes. And it became a fundraiser for the Washington State Council of Firefighters. And that I dedicated to American heroes. That was my first big project when I arrived here. I was so inspired, I created that from first note to compose to the CD release, being able to listen to a car, took 3 months, a whole symphony. And it later on got performed by a 100-piece orchestra as a tribute for Veterans Day in front of about 2,000 people. And that was, up to this day, one of the biggest achievements, most emotional moments. And the idea was to create a soundtrack for daily lives heroes who doesn't get the whole, music that they deserve when they perform every day, without asking for any reward for that. These people, they just do it, they look at you and like, that's my duty. And so the idea was that when you listen to the symphony, you picture the people that you consider heroes in your lives, and listen to the music and remind you of what they do every day. And so I had actually firefighters from all over the country. The firefighters from Washington State started to spread out and work about it. And I had firefighters from New York sending me emails like that, telling me why they decided to become firefighters because of my music. Like they felt my music inspired them to tell them why they decided to make that choice. It was very emotional. That's something I've been thinking about. That leading me to meet with Washington State Governor Christine Gregoire at the time, and she thanked me officially for all the money that I raised for the Washington State Council of Firefighters, and that leading me to be known in Seattle for my orchestral work, because apparently there was no other orchestral composer that does that big sound. Usually, if you want a composer like this, you have to come here in Los Angeles. And so that led me to score the film opener for the Seattle International Film Festival that was starring basically all the luminaries that are from Seattle. Tom Skerritt, Chairman Howard Schultz from Starbucks, Paul Allen from Microsoft. They were all in that film as a tribute for the film festival. And so it was a 25-minute film, and I got the opportunity to score it. It played in front of a full house at Benaria Hall in Seattle, in front of 4,000 people. And that led me to create then the SIF Orchestra, and then I got contacted by the Hallmark Channel because they heard that composer that was doing orchestral work in the Northwest. And so, which then led me to come here in Los Angeles, where in the end, for the first time in 8 years, I really get a grasp. Like right now, I'm right in the middle of the game of as far as, okay, this is now what the film industry is about. And so far I love it. Had the occasion to score a few national commercials that are only airing on TV right now. One of them is called Gas X. It's a pretty funny one if you happen to catch it. There's a whole TV campaign. They have one for Halloween and they have one for Christmas.
So does that mean like if I'm having issues, I'll just give you a call next time?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I actually got £20,000 worth of this. No. As a payment, no.
They give you the option, pills or money, and you're like, pills please.
Yes, I want Gas X. No. So anyhow, and now working when I started learning more about Neil's work, and of course I knew that for me it's a very special moment today because this is the first day I meet Claudia. But I started watching Babylon 5, and of course I heard about the series, and knowing that I'm going to work with all these guys is very exciting.
It's great to have you on board, man.
Thank you.
All right, so what we're going to do right now is, because technically we're supposed to be out of here in like 5 minutes, I'm going to show a really quick visual effects reel. Now, some of you folks may have seen this on the internet. We released a shortened version, but for those of you who haven't, here you go. Or not. Let me fix that. There we go. Who you saw from the Kickstarter video. Sorry, no squeaky hitting Klingons with big boulders on this one. But yeah, now I wanted to open it up for we've got a couple minutes left, do a quick Q&A in case anybody has any questions. And your hand was up first, right behind you, and then we'll go to you.
Yeah, have you guys been approached by any producers for the show?
Maybe. Yeah,
Besides-
I mean, we're
besides,
producers, and what do you mean by producers? Are you talking about like major studios or?
Studios, movie studios, TV shows, studios?
Not quite yet. We're working on getting on their radar at the moment. It is still very early on in production. You know, since we've been talking a lot about Babylon 5, I wonder why. It took J. Michael Straczynski 5 years of shopping Babylon 5 around before it got picked up. But thankfully, because this is a web series, we're going to Kickstarter, and certain other avenues as well, so no matter what, this is going to get made. And that is a sure thing. We don't have to, that's kind of the point, we don't have to wait around for the studios to say, ooh, that's good, we like you. We're able to go ahead and do this, and that's why, again, you know, as I said early on, this is about the fans stepping up and taking ownership of the genre, being able to come in and say, look, we want sci-fi, we want quality sci-fi, the kind that we want, and we don't want you to be able to come in, you being the powers that be, let's say, coming in telling us when the story is over. We don't want another Firefly, we don't want another Jericho, or Stargate Universe, or so on and so forth. So, you know, while we're open to working with the studios, especially if it serves our cause of working with the fans, great, but we're not reliant on them. Yeah, and you have a question?
I'm curious if you've chosen what cameras you're going to be shooting with and what other kind of changes you make to the workflow because you're shooting for a web series and not for a broadcast or Blu-ray or whatnot.
That's a good question.
That's a Yale question.
I've already got one red camera, red one, with a lot of good lenses. We will be shooting in 4K resolution for sure. We will be posting either in 4K or 2K. All the effects will be done in 4K resolution, so this is the technical talk. It means very, very good quality. Same camera, similar to Prometheus or whatever. So it's not going to have that sort of low budget feel. It's going to look half decent. That being said, I have done 2 features on the Canon 5D, and it's an excellent system as well, which I've got up to 2K, which is really good, but we're now in proper high resolution 4K with good lenses. It's going to be approached like a proper feature film. That's all I do is features these days, and the expectation is that if the web series goes one direction, great. Otherwise, we can retrofit this to be a feature film if we choose or desire, but it's going to be with the intention that it's going to be carried off like a feature film. I have a 20-foot camera crane, which I own as well, with a big remote head, and lights, equipment, everything. So we already own this stuff. And it's all sitting there, so we may as well use it. We have proper microphones, access to all the equipment we need to make it, and that's owned and paid for and sitting there. So it's not going to have a sort of a handicap feel, shall we say. It's going to be properly produced, and that's what we invest our time and money into. I already own major edit systems as well, and I currently have about 150 terabytes of hard drive space from previous productions. So we're used to handling things on a high end. It's not a low budget wannabe production. I'm a nut job for technology and everything else. So that's the general feeling.
The translation is, we're going to do this for very little money, but it's going to look like we spent millions on it. For those non-technically minded. Cool. Is there any other questions? Or? No? Oh. Joe? Over. That's actually a really good question. We get a lot of questions, because it is a web series, and that's obviously it's a very new format. People have been asking, well, how long is each episode, how long is each season, so on and so forth. But what it is a season of 6 10-minute episodes that get posted to the internet, and you can watch them. We're still settling on what exact medium we want to do, but we'll definitely broadcast that as soon as we are finished. As soon as we figure that out. And then the idea is every 2 seasons completes one entire arc, so then we can go ahead and release it on DVD as a feature. So that's the plan right now, and I think the next panel is about ready to come on in. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you very much, and it was a blast doing this panel with you guys. Thanks a lot. And thank you all for coming.